Great Demon King. Chapter 34. Subconscious Changes. For 8 arduous days, Shuo and the band of 12 trekked relentlessly southward through the dark forest. Each day brought new challenges and fiercer magical creatures, testing their endurance and skills to the limit. They encountered unicorn charging bulls, massive lizards with scales that shimmered in the dappled sunlight, magical wolves capable of releasing razor-sharp wind blades, and flying eagles that could spew out debilitating frost. Initially, the group managed these creatures with relative ease, their confidence buoyed by early successes. However, as days passed, the creatures grew increasingly formidable, forcing the band to rely more heavily on their magic and teamwork. The once confident adventurers began to feel the mounting pressure, their spirits strained by the relentless encounters. As their rations dwindled, the group turned to the meat of the defeated magical creatures for sustenance. They meticulously processed each carcass, though not all the flesh was palatable. The lizards, for instance, emitted a strange, pungent odor that made their meat difficult to swallow. Yet, the necessity of survival pushed them to persevere, learning to distinguish between the edible and inedible parts of. The real value lay in the magical cores embedded within these creatures' bodies. These cores, classified into 6 distinct levels, ranged from the relatively inexpensive level 6 to the highly coveted level 11. The Windblade Wolf's core, rated at level 5, could fetch a respectable 20 gold at the market, while the Frost Eagle's level 4 core was significantly more valuable, commanding a price of 150 gold. Over the past few days, the band had amassed 4 cores, 3 from Windblade Wolves and 1 from a Frost Eagle. This haul alone had turned a profit, even after deducting the 50 gold borrowed for the battle steeds. Moreover, the physical parts of these magical creatures, such as the Windblade Wolf's fur and the unicorn charging bull's horn, were prized commodities. These items added substantial value to their earnings, surpassing Fanny and Jeannie's original expectations and providing the band with much-needed resources. Amidst the chaos of survival and battle, Fanny addressed the group with a satisfied smile. Everyone has improved after a few days of training. You no longer panic when faced with magical creatures. This is the most important thing in actual battle. On top of that, our luck has been quite good. We have gained much from this outing. We will allocate the profits to everyone after we return to the academy and sell these items. Shuo watched intently as his fellow students transitioned from fear to competence. His own senses, honed through relentless training, remained sharp. He noticed how the once panicked novices had grown more confident, handling threats with a newfound calmness. Fanny had observed these changes too, her eyes reflecting a mixture of pride and curiosity. Despite his outward calm, Shuo couldn't shake the feeling that something within him was shifting. His magical yuan, infused with demonic energy, had not only enhanced his physical abilities, but also sharpened his perception. He could anticipate threats before they fully manifested, a skill that had proven invaluable in their battles. Fanny, perplexed by his heightened senses, had subjected Shuo to thorough examinations over the past few days. Each time, she found nothing unusual, leaving her to wonder about the true extent of his subconscious changes. This mystery only deepened her intrigue, prompting her to consider employing the Academy's advanced magical facilities once they returned. The band's success was a double-edged sword. While it brought much-needed resources and a boost to their morale, it also began to shift the group's dynamics. Bach, Bella, and a few others remained openly hostile toward Shuo, blaming him for their continued bad luck in receiving less desirable portions of food. Their disdain was palpable, a constant reminder of the underlying tensions within the group. Conversely, other students started to see Shuo in a different light. Those who were more particular about their food or curious about his abilities approached him with newfound friendliness, hoping to benefit from his resourcefulness. This subtle shift in perception began to elevate Shuo's status within the band, earning him a measure of respect that had previously eluded him. Master Fanny, when can we reach that cemetery of death? Lisa asked eagerly after hearing Fanny's words. Fanny's brow furrowed at the question, and she fell silent for a moment, contemplating her response. After a gentle sigh, she began. I've only heard that the cemetery of death was once discovered in the deep south of the dark forest, but I'm not too certain of its exact location. Our main purpose in traveling to the dark forest this time was to teach you the correct methods of deploying necromancy magic when faced with danger. Based on our current results, you have all reached this standard. She paused, her gaze drifting to the dense foliage surrounding them. I don't know the exact whereabouts of the Cemetery of Death. You might have noticed by now that the magical creatures we're facing are becoming stronger and more aggressive. If it weren't for Brian's pre-warnings over the past few days, I think some of you would have already been injured. Yesterday, when we encountered that frost eagle, we barely made it through alive. I'm worried that if we continue further, some of you might not only be hurt but could even die. Therefore, I think it's time we head back. Jean nodded in agreement. Indeed, we're here primarily for training. The location of the Cemetery of Death is uncertain, and we don't even know if it truly exists. It's normal for us not to find it. Everyone experienced firsthand the dangers we've been facing. If we continue south, I feel that everyone's lives will be in greater danger. This outing has already yielded rich rewards, so there's no need to take further risks. A few of the more timid students reflected on the events of the past 2 days, nodding their heads in agreement. All right, then let's go back to the academy. The dangers are escalating. Lisa, however, couldn't let go of her desire for greater rewards. Back. You coward. How else can we gain rewards if not through risk? If it weren't for yesterday's danger, how could we have obtained that Frost Eagle's core? We should continue further south. Maybe we'll find even more valuable items. This way, the other majors won't look down on our necromancy major when we return to the academy. Her contemptuous glare landed on Han Shuo, who was focused on cooking meat with an indifferent expression. Brian, wouldn't you agree? Despite the ongoing ridicule from Bach, the majority of the students were now considering following Fanny's advice. Han Shuo felt a mix of frustration and determination. He knew that pushing forward could lead to even greater discoveries and potential, but the risk of loss weighed heavily on him. Just then Fanny made a decisive call. All right, let's get out of here. The barbtail cats are magical creatures that prey on the weak and fear the strong. But these are pack animals. If they return with reinforcements, it could cause serious trouble for us. These low-level magical creatures don't have magical cores, and their skin isn't worth much. Ignore them and let's leave. Her authoritative tone silenced the group, who reluctantly began to repack their belongings and move on. Fanny's disappointment was evident as Jean looked on, his hopes of earning greater respect from Fanny dashed by her insistence on caution. As the band of 12 continued southward, Han Shuo couldn't help but marvel at his own progress. His subconscious changes had begun to manifest in subtle, yet significant ways. His heightened senses allowed him to anticipate dangers and react swiftly, often before others even realized something was amiss. One night, under the silver glow of the moonlight filtering through the dense canopy, the group set up camp near a small clearing. The air was cool, and the sounds of nocturnal creatures serenaded the forest. Han Shuo took charge of preparing the meal, skillfully handling the meat from their recent hunts. Master Fanny, this is yours. Lisa, this is yours. Bella, Bach, Jean, these are yours. Han Shuo passed out the meat with a strange smile on his face, enjoying the simple act of sharing his hard-earned bounty. Brian, nicely done. This meat is delicious. Fanny licked her lips after eating a piece, her eyes gleaming with appreciation. Han Shuo's heart raced at the sight of her genuine praise. Lisa, however, wasn't as impressed. What kind of meat is this? It's disgusting. It's not fully cooked yet. This is gross. There's no flavor to this, another student added, scrunching up her nose in distaste. Damned Brian, you did this on purpose. This meat is still raw. Bach sneered, clearly angry despite his previous disdain. Han Shuo maintained his innocent smile, unfazed by the negative reactions. Maybe a few pieces really weren't ready yet. Sorry. Bad luck. Despite his efforts, the lingering scent of inadequately cooked meat and the sticky residue from his earlier mishap had left a mark. Fanny couldn't overlook the telltale signs of the previous night's encounter, and she approached him with a mixture of frustration and lingering curiosity. It's getting late. I want to inspect your body tonight. Hurry and leave, she said coldly, as if trying to erase the memory of his earlier actions. Han Shuo nodded obediently, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. Understood, Master Fanny. As the group settled in for the night, Han Shuo couldn't shake the feeling that his subconscious changes were accelerating. His ability to sense danger, coupled with his newfound magical prowess, was transforming him into something more than just an ordinary necromancer. He felt a dark power simmering beneath the surface, ready to be unleashed. With the group sound asleep or resting, Han Shuo saw an opportunity. He quietly slipped away from the campsite, careful not to wake anyone. The night was still, and the moonlight provided just enough illumination for him to navigate through the dense underbrush. He paused momentarily, pulling out a small vial of blue liquid from his pack. This was a concoction he had been experimenting with, blending demonic magic and necromantic energies. Taking a deep breath, he chanted softly, allowing the magical yuan within him to flow seamlessly with the demonic essence. The vial began to glow with an ethereal light, and he consumed the liquid, feeling its power surge through his veins. As he walked deeper into the forest, Han Shuo felt a strange sensation enveloping him. His movements became more fluid, his senses even sharper. Shadows seemed to dance at the edge of his vision, and the very air thrummed with latent magic. He could feel his subconscious mind awakening, tapping into hidden reservoirs of power that he had never accessed before. Han Shuo's journey alone in the forest was a test of his own limits. He encountered various creatures, each more dangerous than the last, but his enhanced abilities allowed him to handle them with ease. His magical techniques, honed through relentless practice and subconscious mastery, were now a formidable force. One evening, as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the forest floor, Han Shuo stumbled upon a secluded grove. In the center stood an ancient stone altar, covered in intricate runes that pulsed with dark energy. Intrigued, he approached cautiously, sensing the powerful necromantic magic emanating from the structure. Placing his hands on the altar, Han Shuo began to chant, channeling his magical yuan and demonic energy into the runes. The symbols glowed brighter under his touch, and the air around him crackled with raw power. Suddenly, a spectral figure materialized before him, a long-dead necromancer of immense power. "Who dares awaken me?" the specter demanded, its hollow eyes piercing into Han Shuo's very soul. Han Shuo stood tall, meeting the apparition's gaze without fear. "I seek knowledge and power to restore the glory of the necromancy major," he declared firmly. "Teach me your secrets." The specter regarded him thoughtfully, sensing the depth of his determination and the darkness within. After a tense moment, it nodded slowly. "Very well, but be warned. The path you tread is fraught with peril. Master these teachings, and you will wield power beyond imagination. Fail, and you will be consumed by the very darkness you seek to command." With those words, the specter began to impart ancient necromantic knowledge, guiding Han Shuo through complex rituals and forbidden spells. Each lesson deepened his understanding and further awakened the latent powers within him, bridging the gap between his demonic cultivation and necromantic mastery. Weeks passed, and Han Shuo's transformation became evident. His physical prowess had grown exponentially, his senses remained razor-sharp, and his magical abilities had reached new heights. He was no longer just an errand slave. He was a true necromancer, capable of wielding devastating spells and commanding dark forces. The subconscious changes had unlocked a hidden potential, merging his demonic cultivation with his necromantic training to create a formidable combination. Han Shuo felt invincible, a force to be reckoned with, a magical genius destined to reshape the necromancy major and carve his own legacy within the empire. As he prepared to rejoin the group, Han Shuo knew that the true challenges were still ahead, but with his newfound strength and the secrets imparted by the ancient specter, he was ready to face whatever darkness the dark forest could throw at him.